Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, round 2. We had a catastrophic error happen, but that's okay. Today is March 4th, 2024. We continue to march forward. Season 3, episode
or March
64.
4th, maybe.
March 4th. There you go. Hey, very good. I have everything bamboozled here, so this is ohmTown Daily News Show, powered by ohmTown.com. I'm going to leave everything how it is. No editing. We were joking about how the sausage is made, and then the sausage flew out of the packing system and got all over everybody. So I made a snarky comment about how the show is made of beaks and hooves, and
That's right.
when everything went catastrophic. So anyway, today's show has epic hoax, Stumblasaurus, everything is bigger in Texas, methane leaks for all to see, a not so much sports channel, Yuzu to shut down, Airlines raise checked bag fees, and I think it's because our last article that we're going to talk about, striped terrain on Mars, a crack in the SpaceX capsule, and $1 billion. And this time, let's hope we don't crash. If we do, then I'm probably going to call it a night. I would like to just jump into today's articles. So let's do just that. Today's first article is over on the Warcrafter channel. A group that claimed it stole data from Epic admits it didn't happen. Epic says the whole thing was a scam, a hoax, an epic hoax even. That's right. Following a report last week of a ransomware attack on Epic Games that allegedly made off with nearly 200 gigabytes of data, Epic now says the whole thing was in fact a scam, and so does the group that claimed credit for it in the first place. The attack, reported on February 28th by Cyber Daily, was supposedly carried out by a hacking group calling itself Magilovich. Man. Threw the middle around. Anyway, presumably adopting the name of notorious Russian crime boss Semyon Magilovich. The group said it had obtained nearly 200 gigabytes of data in the attack. But apparently, it was a hoax. Andy Chalk over at PCGamer.com put the article together. The deck statement says the Magilovich group says they aren't hackers at all, but professional fraudsters. Hey.
So are they basically trying to ride the wave of the hackers? Like, hey, maybe I can get some money from this.
Why would anybody do this? Maybe they thought that the Epic would just like pay up whatever.
I mean, wouldn't they kind of realize that nothing was at issue? I don't know. I guess it depends on how convincing they were.
So it had a pay up deadline of March 4th. I guess Epic said, we're not going to pay this because we don't have any evidence of, a victim here. Apparently the data contained email, passwords, full name, payment information, source code, and many other data. But apparently the whole thing seemed a bit suspicious from the outset. No specific ransom amount was set, nor was any proof provided that the hack had actually taken place. So there wasn't, a bunch of file names holding a newspaper with today's date on it.
Exactly. I mean, maybe it was some other hack, or was there a tip-off? Like, was it like, Bugs Bunny at, or just ridiculous data?
Yeah, it was probably the same data supplied in some recent court cases. The whole thing seemed a bit suspicious, so there was zero evidence the claim was legitimate, and that its efforts to contact Magilovich had gone unanswered. So basically, I think it was actually not professional fraudsters, but dipshits. So the message explains how Magilovich used fake claims of hacks and social engineering to extract ever-increasing sums from victims, beginning with sales of its hacking services, which didn't actually exist, to 8 people for $1,000 each, an amount that was boosted to $2,000 each once they agreed to pay, and eventually leading to what Magilovich claimed was an $85,000 payment for materials taken in a hack of drone maker DJI, although the group has again provided no proof that the payoff actually occurred. But now the jig is up. Mogilovich has confessed to the real nature of its crimes, and Epic has confirmed that it was not hacked. So I guess it was just a scam. Dun, dun, dun.
That's quite the scam.
Yeah. I mean, it's preying on the ignorance of somebody, and it's a big
it's
target.
Like levels of criminality, don't you think? I mean, there's like the hackers, which are their own problem. Then there's somebody impersonating hackers. It's gotten a bit much.
This is kind of meta. They're hacker fraudsters. We're not the real hackers.
New thing? Like, that's
Apparently.
more trendy.
Yeah, we're not the real hackers, but we play them on the internet. Pongo added that they believe that they taught a lot of people, especially Epic Games, a lesson. That reports of hacks and ransom claims actually had the opposite of the intended effect. They ultimately did nothing more than advertise us by enlarging our fraudulent network. So that was the grift. That
okay.
You announced our name by saying that you were breached by Mogilovich. Dun, dun, dun.
So now they have to say something like, we've been hacked, but by an unnamed group.
Yeah, and this is an adage that I actually follow, trust but verify. It's a Russian adage, which is really interesting because, well, these people were apparently trying to be a Russian hacking group, and might actually be a Russian hacking group, I suppose. All right, though, let's keep going. Only so much you can say about fraudsters. This next article, I just stumbled upon it over at ohmTown Daily at ohmTown.com. A man stumbled upon a 70 million year old dinosaur fossil, but kept it secret for 2 years. You know, there are some really mean children out there sometimes, and one of them stumbled over me at the beach and turned around and said, "Oh, look, a fossil." And I'm like, look, that didn't need to be said. You know, I might be older, but you're going to be there too one day. Just rude, right?
That's a bit much, and I think a bit made up.
Yeah, entirely made up, but that's okay. So, I'm sorry. I don't know what goes on in my brain sometimes. A man in France has found a massive dinosaur skeleton while walking his dog. The Titanosaur skeleton is nearly 70% complete. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And how do you keep something like that hidden?
I know. The Titanosaur is actually, if I remember correctly, it's the largest dinosaur. But it's a certain type of dinosaur. It's like the Tyrannosaurus, if I remember correctly. But let's see. The discovery was kept under wraps to preserve the site, but sparked a career change for the man who found it. The man happened upon the 70 million year old fossil while walking his dog, but he and a local archaeologist kept it a secret for 2 years. Oh, wow. Damien Bachetto, 25, made the discovery in Montpellier, near Hérault, France. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. About 2 years ago. Kenneth Nehmeyer.
It is a very large dinosaur, but it's not apparently the largest.
Oh, really? I thought it was. All right.
But that could have been updated. I don't know.
No, I could be wrong. Like I said, I have a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things, and sometimes, I don't know, I wander off and get found later and hidden for 2 years by a 25-year-old? No, I'm sorry. I'm running with this story. So, in France. So the Titanosaur skeleton is nearly 70% complete. They have a picture of a Titanosaur over here at the Business Insider link, Kenneth Nehmeyer. If you follow the link through ohmTown over to Business Insider, their thumbnail is that picture. I haven't really zoomed in. What the heck? No wonder my eyes were bulging.
Look at the people next to the fossil.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right? I don't think this is the actual one. I mean, this is a different one. But a Titanosaur
because
skeleton.
The one looks like kind of like what a Brontosaurus looked like.
right? Oh, okay, so that's what it is. It's more like a brontosaur, but it looks like it has the feet like an elephant kind of thing, where
Mm-hmm.
there's no claws. It's like just like fire plug, plunk, plunk, plunk down
Right.
in the ground. And this really ginormous tail, and I don't know how long the head is, but wherever the head goes, maybe in the
They couldn't
same,
fit it in the frame.
yeah. So the discovery has sparked a career change for the man who found it. So I'm really curious what they ended up doing. Bashetto reported the discovery to the Cultural, Archaeological, and Paleontological. My God, Paleontological Association in the nearby town of Cruzy. The group determined the fossil to be nearly complete, 30-foot-long fossilized titanosaur. Pretty damn cool. For instance, one study suggested there were 1.7 billion Tyrannosaurus rexes, which are thought to have lived 66 to 68 million years ago, but scientists have recovered fossilized remains of fewer than 100 of them. Well, that's because everything has been churning around for 66 to 68 million years. Titanosaurs were a subgroup of sauropods, plant eaters with very long necks, according to Encyclopedia Britannica. The massive herbivores are some of the largest known dinosaurs and lived from about 150 to 66 million years ago on every continent. Pretty cool.
That is very cool.
So he is Bashetto, the person who founded, is a paleontology enthusiast. The director of the Cruising Museum, Francis Fages, I think is their name, told the Post that Bashetto's volunteering at the museum over the past 2 years has been valuable for its paleontology department. These discoveries are interesting from a scientific point of view because they contribute to the understanding of the species and ecosystem of the late Cretaceous of France and Europe. So apparently Bashetto quit his job in the energy sector in September to pursue a master's degree in paleontology, the Post reported. Wow.
Well, that's very interesting, right? I mean, look how life-changing that was.
Pretty cool. It only takes a moment. For me, it was accessing the internet, with a little bit of William Gibson shortly thereafter. So I talked about that over the weekend. So go back and look at the other shows. ohmTown Dailies. There's 4 other shows. The Continuity Report. Technology Today.
Wanted and Reality Hacker.
And Reality. 5 shows, you say? On the weekend, there's 5 shows?
There
6
are.
total. I mean, because we do an ohmTown Daily news show every
there's
single day.
actually, yeah, there's 6 total episodes on the weekend.
On the weekends, yeah. Yeah, we don't sleep. Okay, let's keep going. This next article is going to be a quickie because, well, it's over in ohmTown Daily. Firefighters keep up battle to stamp out largest wildfire in Texas history because everything is bigger in Texas. Planes have dropped fire retardant over the northern Texas panhandle as firefighters are continuing efforts to stamp out the largest wildfire in state history. First,
so do you know how large this fire is?
No, I haven't even looked.
Well, they've been featuring it, but we're seeing more and more articles.
Yeah.
So it's larger than a state.
Really? What, Maine?
Yes. No, a little one, Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island.
But still, I mean, that's pretty significant.
That is. We don't actually acknowledge Rhode Island, right? It's kind of like what?
It's just this little forgotten blip on the map.
Like people just, what do you mean Rhode Island? That's not a state? Huh, okay. Now, there's some meme about hiding like Canada or something, like not acknowledging that this one country exists. But obviously it exists. It's like New Zealand or something like that. Like no, it's all this pretend, like nobody really talks about it. Anyway, this article's over at abcnews.go.com by Valerie Gonzalez from the AP. So let's see here. It says strong winds spread the flames further, prompting an evacuation order to be issued in Sanford. a town of little more than 100 residents, according to Amarillo Office of National Weather Service, which posted on the website formerly known as Twitter. A cluster of fires has burned more than 1,900 square miles, 4,900 square kilometers in rural areas surrounding Amarillo, including the largest blaze spilling into neighboring Oklahoma. Oh my God, it's spread.
Crossing state lines.
That's horrible. Jeez. Let's see.
That's not good interstate commerce.
No, that's right. That's like, well, we can't keep Texas in Texas, okay? Texas is spreading like wildfire. So I think what they really want is a steady outpouring of water, but this says a steady outpouring of donated clothing, water, and hot meals. I don't think anybody wants any hot meals. Quickly overwhelmed one city in the affected area.
No, that's probably not been an issue in that area.
Yeah, really. We do not need any more water or drinks, the city said. Ironically, considering the biggest fire. We remain in need of cleanup materials such as shovels, rakes, gloves, and, something to put the fire out. Yeah, it all sucks because it's just destroying all kinds of stuff, plus nature, and kicking all that carbon up into the atmosphere. More than 1 million acres have burned, and we are in winter, and this is the largest fire in Texas history. We as a country and as a world have to be ready for the increasing effects of extreme weather caused by climate change. It's a remarkable phenomenon, and it will manifest itself in the days to come, and we have to prepare for it now, said Mayorkas. All right. So, as of Sunday afternoon, the Smokehouse Creek fire, which has burned over 1 million acres, was just 15% contained.
Oh, that's really not good. So, I mean, it's already crossing state lines. It's a ridiculous amount of acreage. That's not good, because if it gets larger and larger, it's going to be harder to contain.
Yeah, and 2 other fires are breaking off and have burned a combined 180,000 acres, but are 60% contained. But these are tendrils, not the main fire. Authorities have not said what ignited the fire, but strong winds, dry grass, and unseasonably warm temperatures fed the blazes. So this is your climate change PSA. Yeah. And this is the state that keeps talking about seceding. Go put your fire out. I'd be a little shy about announcing that you want to step away. So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. SpaceX launched a satellite that Google will use to map methane leaks for all to see by the end of this year. We actually talked about this last week, I think it was. Maybe a couple of times, actually. So Monday, SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Environmental Defense Fund's Methane satellite. The satellite will track leaking methane, a potent greenhouse gas from oil and gas companies. Google will use Methane Sat to combined with AI to map methane leaks worldwide. And it says that SpaceX I'll be okay. There's a little methane in here, and starting to lose my faculties.
Maybe it'll map your leak.
Oh. Well, you look, buddy, you can map my leak. So SpaceX successfully launched. You try and say SpaceX successfully. Go ahead.
I'm not going to attempt it.
It's
not going to go well.
SpaceX successfully launched a game-changing satellite on Monday. You bastards.
She sells seashells by the seashore. Like, that's an actual tongue twister.
I'm actually just focusing on trying to say that properly. Called Methane Sat, the new satellite will track methane leaks from oil and gas companies worldwide. It said it's sent like 6 different times in different ways. It's very frustrating. So Ellen Lapointe and Catherine Boudreau over at businessinsider.com put the article together. So we've talked about this a couple of times because it's such a pivotal greenhouse gas. Methane leaks are adding to the tracking of methane leaks will add to our total understanding of what it is that's impacting this climate change. And as you can tell from basically the state of Texas being on fire, people are becoming more aware of it because it's happening in irrational times of the year. That state was frozen at one point.
Not too long ago, right? We're not
And-
talking a century ago.
And now it's on fire. So I think people need to pull their heads out of their collective buttocks and understand that anthropomorphic change, environmental change, is actually causing all of the suffering that we are experiencing right now in terms of environmental suffering. There's additional suffering that's caused by humans in many other places. And we're all so willfully ignorant of this. Vehicle batteries, plastic, runoff from your vegetable garden, all of that. And it actually pales in comparison to the amount of garbage that's thrown out by industrial processes. So obviously, when you peel back the layers of the onion, you have to be somewhat aware, and either you're okay at some point, which is where I'm at. At some point you have to be okay with some level of this, because if you don't become okay with it psychologically, you'll end up living in a cave with like just a leaf covering your naughty bits. Yeah, sorry, and I really want my cell phone. So the Environmental Defense Fund developed MethaneSat, and Google has partnered with the organization to create its first global methane map by the end of the year for all to see, ushering in a new era of climate accountability, at least awareness, but accountability may not actually manifest. There's enough money in it, eyes will look elsewhere. They'll tell me that I have to turn down my thermostat, yet we know that there's what was it? Ammonia alone accounts for
Oh yes, 2%.
2% of like global carbon footprint or something
Carbon,
like that.
yeah, CO2 emissions, which is just astonishing because it's never cited at all, let alone in reference to a percentage.
Pretty amazing, right? Yeah, but I'm the one that has to turn my water down. I know that every little bit counts. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand how it works, but it's not me. Anyway, the monitoring methane. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas linked to roughly a third of human-caused global warming. There's some of this tracking. This map shows MethaneSat's target areas across the globe. So it's going to be pinging all of these spots, but I'm sure it's going to be bigger than that. This is what's been announced. They'll get bigger as it detects more.
Right, but this is good because I think right now nobody knows about it. They're not trying to fix it. If somebody suddenly sees this and it's in their area, there's going to be an uproar.
Yeah, nobody in Russia and nobody in China is going to give one shit about what's being said. Yeah, they're going to just block Google. Nope, don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, but maybe in other areas.
It's like my cat hiding behind the curtain, but its feet are seen and its tail is flicking about and it's making meowing sounds.
But it's definitely...
But I'm not there. You don't know. I can't see you. You can't see me. So we have consistently seen the power of strong data to win robust regulatory safeguards and better operating practices in the industry, said Mark Brownstein, EDF, Senior Vice President of Energy Transition. Good science lays groundwork for better decisions. I agree. Thing is, good science changes over time, and then you end up having to change things again because there's new science, prevailing data, as they say.
So then the best way to do this would be having an easily updatable software or whatever associated with it. So as we figure more things out, we don't have to just go, oh, well, we can't use this anymore. It's a brick.
Yeah, and everybody needs to be informed of the fact that this is a dynamic situation. So whatever policy or procedure that we set today, in a year perhaps, or maybe less or more, it really depends on what the situation demands, policy and procedure will change. I think it's frustrating, particularly for individuals who set their clock, their life to this kind of mantra of making the world better, and then they find out that they've been spending 20 plus years and it's not moved the needle. I did my part, but science was wrong and I followed the science. Let's keep going. It's a hell of a soapbox I jumped on. Let me jump back down. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Who's going to pay $50 a month for a sports streamer that doesn't have all the sports? We just touched on that for a moment last week. A new sports streamer won't have every NFL game, some of which are only on CBS or Amazon. Will that stop people from subscribing?
If you don't have multiple streaming services, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, you're holding it wrong. I don't know anybody that only has one streaming service. You have to have Netflix, you have to have Max, you have to have Hulu, you have to have Paramount Plus,
Disney Plus, Hulu,
Apple TV. You got to go over and get YouTube TV, which is now $85 a month. Plus then you attach whatever you might have from Amazon to it so that you can actually funnel from Amazon into, because you can subscribe to subordinate channels, like My Little Pony TV. That's not true. There is no, not that I know of. If anything, it would be on Crunchyroll. I'm talking too much. Anyway, we got another hint that the new sports streamer will cost around $50 a month. The big question, who's going to subscribe if the streamer doesn't carry all of the NFL games? Lachlan Murdoch tried to answer the question on Monday, but is still a tough sell. So let's go over to Business Insider. Peter Kafka is the author of this.
Wait, what's the standout here? Not that they don't have everything, the fact that the price is so high and they don't have everything.
Right. See, but it's cheaper than ESPN, subscribing to ESPN Total Access kind of a thing. Because that's like $150 a month or something, right? I don't know. I'd have to go. It's been a while since I looked at all of this stuff, because 30 years ago we giggled. We were sitting in an office laughing at the fact that there's no way in hell that the industry would actually balkanize, and then we would have to reconstitute it app by app, subscription by subscription. But sure as hell, who has the last
what's
laugh?
In place.
Yep. It's like the baby. It's like AT&T or the bells being broken up into little baby bells and then getting reconstituted as AT&T. So it says, here's further confirmation that the new sports streaming service launching this fall is going to cost around $50 a month. One of the owners of the new service basically just said that out loud. Pricing is going to be in the higher ranges of what people have talked about. Fox Corp CEO Lachlan Murdoch. I wish I had pictures so I can say here giggling at the Sunday school being on fire or something like that, right?
Right.
That is Murdoch.
Weekend update style.
Yeah, exactly. Murdoch, whose company is one of 3 co-owners of the new service, along with Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery, is saying that press reports that the service could cost up to $50 a month are correct, which again, we already knew. So I don't know. Oh, so here is Lachlan Murdoch. I'm trying to come up with something really fast. Yeah. Watching a plane crash land. Yeah, after all, if you like paying for streaming TV, you can pay $73 a month for YouTube TV, which is not true. That's not how much it is anymore. Actually, let me make sure, because I know YouTube TV subscription, how much is it now? Oh yeah, it says it's $73 a month. But if there's something else, because I use YouTube TV, and my bill is higher. It's because I have certain things attached to it on top of it. Which if you want certain TV, you have to subscribe to the extended stuff. So most crucially, but still $73 a month. That's more than what cable cost. And then when
exactly, and we all know how reasonable cable companies are.
Yeah, and then you add on to it all of the streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and whatever else. And, God, it's just ridiculous. So it says here, most crucially, the new streamer won't have the NFL games broadcast by CBS, which has the contract for the league's AFC games, or NBC, whose Sunday night NFL broadcasts are usually the most popular thing on TV, period. So they're not getting all of it. This is weird, right? But I guess, if Disney wants to be in bed with Fox just to get a piece of the action, right? Because
I don't get this.
These three have been, I thought, battling with each other, and now they're actually in bed together. What's going on here? Oh, I know, billionaires. Yeah. Because Murdoch has to do two things. He needs to convince himself that his investors, that there's a large group of people who used to have to pay for TV but cut the cord or never got pay TV in the first place and would be interested in paying for this. And he also has to convince the same audience that the service won't appeal to people who are already paying for TV, that it won't cannibalize his existing business. So basically, there's a sweet spot of people that are really well off, that are capable of paying for regular TV and for this sports streaming service, and not going to go over to something else. Yeah, I don't know. I want more competition. Just more competition. Drive the price down. And the only way to do that
Right, but do you really want to go... I don't know how many teams there are in the NFL, but do you want to have to go to a streamer for each NFL team game?
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I want. Man, that right there. Gaming the game itself is really just so much fun. I like to have to figure out which streaming service a game is on and then subscribe to that for a month. That $50 a month on top of the $73 default from YouTube TV plus Netflix plus Hulu, right? What else is there? Plus Amazon, right?
Plus Paramount Plus.
Plus Paramount Plus, plus Disney TV, plus Apple TV. What else? I mean, you're looking at $350.
We didn't even say Netflix, I don't think.
Yeah, I said Netflix right away. But that's okay. Yeah, insane amount of money being spent. And I don't think that is beyond the average there, right? Yeah, I'd be curious if you subscribe to a streaming platform. Either post it in Discord or in a review, a 5-star review, please. A 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts would be great. Yeah, that's a little too on the nose of a request. Anyway, or throw it in chat. Of course, you can always throw it in chat. I would be curious to know what streaming platforms you subscribe to, or even ones that you might want to subscribe to. But would you want to subscribe to a $50 sports streaming platform that doesn't actually stream all of the sports? And they're only talking about NFL. So is this only NFL?
Right. I don't know. Do you have to go to another group of streamers for NHL or MLB or MLS?
Or the National Badminton League or... Let's keep going. The next article is over in the mobile channel. Game over. Yuzu, Nintendo Switch emulator will shut down and pay $2.4 million. So we actually talked about this last week. Very briefly, we saw some news that was coming and just kind of mentioned it and moved on. And then over the weekend, we were talking because somebody, I was listening to a podcast. Which podcast was it? I don't remember. That had mentioned that Yuzu basically couldn't do its job, or maybe it was a news report, where they couldn't do Yuzu could not provide the service they provided without violating the DMCA. Because there is a component of it that is that you can't circumvent security protocols to acquire the information. And the only way that Yuzu could is to extract the information from whatever platform it's on, like either a disk, a cartridge, or whatever. And that in and of itself circumvents the security of the apparatus that provides the means of accessing that storage apparatus, right? So if you have a little card and you slide it into a switch, that whole thing is part of the security apparatus. So if you strip the data off of the card, you're violating the security protocol.
Okay.
So that was basically my takeaway from the conversation that was being had. Like what I am describing is a little bit bigger than what they were saying. They were just saying that to do the gig, they would have to violate the copy protection that's involved. And I took it to where I just described, because it's more, holistic in understanding. Essentially, being able to copy it means that they violated the security apparatus. So Gizmodo.com put the article together. Maxwell Zeff is the writer. The developers behind Yuzu bent the knee to Nintendo's legal pressure after just 1 week and are shutting the emulator down and apparently coughing up $2.4 million. On Monday, the developers behind Yuzu agreed to shut down the website entirely and pay Nintendo $2.4 million, according to court documents. Citra, another free and open source emulator for Nintendo's 3DS run by the same company, will also shut down. When two companies are actually, Yuzu and Citra, are run by the same company and they're doing the same thing, you're pretty much the same company, so it's weird. So
Yeah,
they say
a little unusual.
Yeah. We write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu's support of Citra are being discontinued effective immediately. So they didn't just bend the knee. They completely capitulated. The code repositories behind Yuzu and Citra have been removed from GitHub, as first spotted by The Verge. The open source project could be replicated by other actors, but doing so could land someone in a similar situation to Tropic Haze. And not only that, but Tropic Haze could go after the people too, maybe recoup some of that $2.4 million they just divested themselves of. Users in the subreddit r/Yuzu have rushed to download and save the latest versions of Yuzu in the last weeks before they're deleted permanently. Yeah. I don't know. Look, you're violating the copyright.
Yeah, this isn't like a case of not knowing, right? I mean, this is very intentional.
Yeah, but I'm using it for only myself. Well, no, you're not. But it says here, in 2019, Yuzu released an update that allowed classic Nintendo games to run at a full 60 frames per second, the same performance you'd get on an actual Switch hardware. It was a pivotal moment for the emulator, making it free, open source Nintendo games about as enjoyable as the real thing. And you know how you make them as enjoyable as the real thing? You compensate the people. Yeah, you compensate the industry that's actually making them the real thing. If everybody just pirates them. And look, I get it. I come from a day and age where piracy was all the rage. Nowadays, it's kind of in darker corners, and it's hit or miss who all is involved in it. I don't know of anybody that's involved in software piracy, but some people, they will never pay for something, but they'll use it and use it and use it, and I just can't agree with that. It's literally taking money off of somebody's table, and If everybody does this, it's a substantial amount of money. Yet people say, no, it's not. I'm not taking any money from anybody. No, you
Well, you're not
are.
buying it from somebody else. So I would say you are. Plus, if you're
Yeah.
providing it to somebody else, you're exacerbating it.
So Yuzu was making roughly $28,000 per month on Patreon. So it's a small organization compared to Nintendo, of course. But that's some serious change there, $28,000 a month. And that's $28,000 a month that people should be spending on the games that their families are being supported by the sale of these games. Why can't people just understand that? Some people just don't give a shit.
The weird thing is, I don't think people get it when it's not something that's a physical item.
Right.
Most people would not think it's okay, to walk into a store and take several items without paying.
Right. Yeah. But that's just it. That's actually one of the counter arguments about it not being piracy, because piracy keeps someone from being able to access that resource. But copying something 150 million times still doesn't keep anybody from buying it somewhere, but it certainly does keep somebody from getting the compensation for the work that 150 million people have downloaded. They're not getting paid for it.
I mean, I don't agree with that argument, but I also think it's kind of ridiculous, because somebody who steals something out of a store, that doesn't necessarily prevent somebody from buying one somewhere else. It just seems like a strange argument.
Yeah. But every single person, if I were to say, hey, I'm going to go and walk into your house and, steal your toilet or whatever, they're going to be pissed. I'm going to steal your stereo, your computer, whatever. They're going to be pissed. So, but it's sociopathic and disingenuous and intellectually, well, yeah, they don't zero critical thinking about it. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in the mobile channel. That's actually kind of a merging of words. It's the mobile mob. Airlines are raising their check bag fees. 3 things to know before paying. I'm just prefacing this that the reason why airlines are raising their check bag fees is because the last article that we're going to talk about. So stick
that
around.
Very well could be it.
It's the only way they're going to be. Anyway,
so a lot of check bags, though.
Hey. Several major U.S. airlines have raised fees for checked baggage over the last few months, and it's all because gas has gone up, right? I'm sure they're not having record profits or anything. The additional fees imposed by these carriers don't amount to too much, a $5 increase per bag, which actually is a shit ton of money if you count how many people are actually bringing a bag and checking it. In many cases,
you're usually going 2 directions.
Oh, good God. So, but the current fee increases may not end with United, one travel expert claims that like all of them are gonna. Because when you see one raise it and everybody goes, yeah, okay, then they all do. So, the article is over in thehill.com. Changing America is the section. Airlines are raising their check bag fee. 3 things to know. Here's what you need to know. The author is Michael Bartiromo. Right? Is that the same Bartiromo? Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to look. So, let's see. What did they say? So how much can passengers expect to pay? Alaska Airlines in January raised its check bag fee for most economy customers by $5 across the board, from $30 to $35 for the first bag and $40 to $45 for the second bag. It was already $30 to $35.
That's actually low compared to a lot of other airlines.
JetBlue went from $45 to $60 respectively, but offers a $10 discount, making the final cost $35 and $50 respectively. But what is the $10 discount? Why have a $10 discount? Is it to make people go, oh, that's so kind of you?
No, it's for them. They want people to plan ahead and book the bags before they travel.
Yeah, so the real cost is actually 35 to 50, and this is just a jerk price.
Like
Right?
if you walk up, that's your price. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're never expected to actually carry a bag, but okay. I guess it's a surprise, the weight. Because all I do when I take a flight is I load my bag up with lead weight.
Rocks.
Yeah, yeah. American Airlines and
Oh,
United.
maybe that's been the problem with the food recalls.
Oh, right. Yeah, over at Trader Joe's. Maybe that's what's
Exactly.
going on. People are actually
Trying to
flying to
avoid
Trader Joe's
baggage fees or something. I don't know.
and putting it in the Trader Joe's food. Got it. United is also charging $40 for the first piece, but $35 if prepaid, and $50 for the second piece, and $45 if prepaid. So why are they pricing? Blame current operating costs for the increased fees. Oh, those people. It says including high fuel prices. Ta-da! Called it. So as we navigate rising operating costs, we occasionally need to adjust our fee to maintain high level of excellence in the service we provide, like keeping our damn doors on. So can you avoid the fee? Probably not.
Not
But
if you want to bring any clothing with you on your trip.
put everything on. Just pack it on. Show up like that, the arms sticking out, because there's no way that you can lower them. And then, just for giggles, walk down the long way of the aisle, right? Like all the way to the tail, and then turn back around and go, sorry, wrong bathroom, and go all the way back to the. JetBlue further claimed that its business has been unprofitable since COVID. Might be because it's unprofitable since JetBlue.
Well, that's also interesting because JetBlue was separately in the news today because they are not going through with a merger with Spirit. But that might not be voluntary. I didn't read the specifics.
Oh, yeah, because I guess not enough competition or something like that. There might be some antitrust kind of a thing. So that's interesting, but I'm really curious. I'm going to have to go and look at the airlines to see about profitability. I find it hard to believe. But let's see. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Curiosity rover is climbing through dramatic striped terrain on Mars. The reason I chose this is because I thought that it was interesting that it's going through striped terrain, which means that there was either sedimentation or some volcanic activity, right? So I wonder if they actually talk about that in the... Yeah, look at that. I mean, this looks like, what is that? What's the cliff? Painted Rocks or something like that? Is that what it's called?
Right. It definitely looks like the American Southwest.
So just about every day here on Earth, we get breathtaking picture of Mars terrain sent back by a rover. But the view from space can be pretty amazing too. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, just sent back a thought-provoking picture of Curiosity as it makes its way up a steep ridge on Mount Sharp. Carolyn Collins Peterson over at Universe Today put the article together, but it's posted on phys.org. And it says the rover is a tiny black dot in the center of the image above, which basically is a top-down view from orbit. And I think it's pretty amazing. Obviously, there's no water, but there is striations here that look like sedimentation or some type of volcanism that has caused this. I don't know if it's weathering, I mean, there's still some wind or wind-like activity, or because there's like dust devils and stuff like that appear on Mars from time to time.
Right, but it looks like patterns that you see based on wind and water on Earth.
Yeah, weathering through rock. It's pretty neat. So the Curiosity rover is exploring an ancient ridge on the side of Mount Sharp, which is the peak of a crater on Mars. It's sitting in the side of a feature called Geddes Vallis Ridge. All right, why do that to me? And the terrains and materials preserve a record of what things were like when water last flowed there. That happened about 3 billion years ago. The force of the flow brought significant amounts of rocks and debris through the region. They piled up to form the ridge. So much of what you see here is the desiccated remains of that flooding. So it lost its atmosphere and I guess dried up. But I don't know what the new discussion is, the new theory of what happened on Mars is. Because if it had water at some point, then it had to have had atmosphere. It had to have something that was holding it together.
Right, and I feel like they keep discovering things that indicate water, right? But I don't think they've actually discovered water.
Yeah, another type of debris flow comes from volcanic activity. That occurs when material erupts from a volcano or the earthquakes combined with an eruption collapse material into the side of the mountain. That results in what's called a lahar. Folks in North America might recall the Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980. It resulted in several lahars that buried parts of the surrounding terrain. So now they're seeing similar things over on Mars. It's pretty cool. Geddes is likely carved by so-called fluvial activity, meaning flowing action in the beginning. Later, floods deposited a variety of fine-grained sands and rocks. Over time, winds have blown a lot of that material away, leaving behind protected pockets of material left behind by the flooding. The size of the rocks tells something about the speed of the flows that deposited all the material. Interesting. Yeah, I find it pretty fascinating. I wonder what the check bag fee is for here. I'll zoom in a little bit.
I don't know. Do you think gravity impacts that with the weight requirements?
No, I think it's the trip fee is going to be exorbitant.
I see.
Just getting there. It's not the weight at this point. Let's keep going. Although, wow, would I be embarrassed if they walk over to my seat and say, hello, Mayor Watt, could you move over to that side so that we can balance the shuttle?
Oh, no.
The next article is over in Reality Hacker. Crew 8 launches with a small crack in the capsule, but SpaceX says that it's safe. I was actually watching this when that happened, and I kind of shat a brick because this is pretty amazing. They know that the crack is there, and they said that as it's re-entering, it will just seal up. A small crack was spotted on a seal on the Crew Dragon's hatch prior to Sunday night's launch to the ISS, but SpaceX engineers said it poses no risk to safety. So the
How
Falcon
do you
9,
think the astronauts feel that are on there?
they were actually very excited about the trip, and they said, "If you're good, we're good." There had to have been private communication where people are like, "Are you out of your freaking mind?" And like SpaceX is like, "No, we promise it's going to be good." And then they
And do you
clipped
think
on.
they had to have a pact, like if you go, I'll go?
Yeah, exactly. Here, drink the water. So my understanding is that Crew 7 is up in the ISS. Crew 8 is going out there to rendezvous. And hopefully everything is... It apparently takes a day and a half to get there. So from Earth to the moon. Or to the ISS, sorry, not the moon. So Sunday night's launch was at risk of being scrubbed about 30 minutes out when it emerged that a small crack had been found in a seal on the Crew Dragon's hatch. Engineers analyzed the crack before confirming that the team was happy to proceed with the launch. Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead. Yeah, and this is what I heard. We are confident that we understand the issue and we can fully still fly the whole mission safely, a team member said 10 minutes from launch. We're comfortable proceeding because the condition is bounded by existing analysis. Additionally, we expect the gap created by this crack in the seal to close as the material will swell with re-entry heating. And finally, it's on the lower heating side of the vehicle during re-entry. The engineering team here is comfortable proceeding. And then you hear nothing but screaming from the people inside the Dragon capsule saying, no, we don't want to go anymore. And then it takes off. Just kidding. That whole last
Right.
part.
Like, it's too late.
That whole last part did not take place. But yeah, there was a crack in the seal on the hatch, and I watched it fly. So now when it returns, I don't know what's going to happen, but it says, speaking from the capsule after reaching orbit, Barrett on his third space mission said the launch was kind of like a roller coaster ride with a bunch of really excited teenagers. All right.
So how quickly is it going to return? Like, is it going to pretty much return immediately?
I don't know.
Or is there going to be overlap? Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be overlap, but yeah. So I don't know. I'll have to take a look. I didn't look into how long they're going to be up there. I don't think it says in here, right? Let's see. Yeah, I don't
think it did.
Okay, let's keep going. This is our last article for today, and this is why your check bag fee has gone up. This is in the Hatch Ideas channel. It has to do with business. Passengers sue Boeing and Alaska Airlines for $1 billion over mid-air door panel blowout. The preventable incident endangered scores of lives both on the plane itself and others flying MAX 9 aircraft, the suit alleges. Yeah. That's not wrong. Yeah, I know of people that were very nervous when that happened, and because it's actually happened more than once. And then there's like a spate of them, just like doors popping out on various other airplanes, including one was just this small plane where the door fell off and landed in somebody's backyard.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all, but it fell outside the environment, so everybody's fine. Rob Weil over at CNBC.com put the article together. It's actually sourced from NBC News. So 3 passengers are suing Boeing and Alaska Airlines for $1 billion in damages in the wake of a door panel blowing out mid-air on their flight. The suit, announced February 23rd, accuses Boeing and Alaska Airlines of negligence for allegedly having ignored warning signs that could have been prevented for the January 5th incident, which forced the plane pilots to... The plane pilots? They're not boring. Come on. I'm sure that they've got great personalities. To make an emergency landing. This experience jeopardized the lives of 174 passengers, but us 3 are entitled to $1 billion. Sorry, I took that a different way. The 6 crew members that were on board, a release announced the suit states, for those reasons, the lawsuit seeks substantial punitive damages for what was a preventable incident, but I can't imagine that actually getting any traction. $1 billion.
They've got to be in the row, right?
Yeah.
One's going to be the person with the shirt.
See, now, did that actually take place? Did that shirt really get... Or was it sitting in their lap and it got sucked off of their lap?
Apparently the person was wearing it, but we weren't there, so...
Right. The suit is not related to another class action suit filed in January in the immediate wake of the incident, so now they've got 2 of them. Boeing 737 MAX 9 planes flown by Alaska and United Airlines have resumed regular service. Apparently, they're checking the bolts. The thing about this, if you don't know what's going on with this, is the plane is kind of put together so that you can have other windows swapped out for door panels. So if you have set up the rows so that you want a door where a window is, you have to move the seats out of the way and then put a door there. And when you don't want the door there, you remove the bolts, take that little door panel out, put a window panel in, and reattach the bolts. And that's not what happened. They actually left the bolts out.
The reattaching part, you kind of missed.
The reattaching part, yeah, missed. And it reminds me of that house that where they attached all of the plumbing on the second floor and they fused it together. On the first floor, they put all of the stuff together, but they didn't weld all of the parts together. So when they turned on the water, it filled up the walls.
Nice.
Yeah, and this was after the house was actually sold. It received its permit for living occupancy and everything. So somewhere along the line, somebody lied about the test. You know, you're supposed to test the plumbing before it gets certified for occupancy.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was tested.
Yeah, so here, I guess somebody didn't push on the wall because the report that I saw was that, or I should say the report of the report said that the bolts weren't even there. They weren't in the wall. They weren't anywhere. They just weren't there.
It makes
So,
you wonder how many flights were taken on some of these planes without incident.
yeah, well, I kind of wish that the AI hadn't have asked that question because I was on a Max 9. All right. Well, anyway, that's it for today. That is the ohmTown Daily News Show for March 4th, 2024. 10 articles aggregated into ohmTown.com. So we jump back into the party bus and run over to the welcome sign and the button that refreshes. And I don't know if I should do it. That is such a risky click while I'm streaming. So I'll just hold off. Anyway, that's it for today. I am Merwatt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI that just kept me out of trouble. Thanks. You want to say bye?
I think you would have had at least 2/5 problematic in the visible articles.
Oh boy.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of ohmTown Daily. Don't forget to check us out everywhere else: YouTube, podcasts, TikTok,
Discord. Yeah.
Patreon.
Oh yeah, there's a Patreon, but we haven't done much with it. All right, go and check it all out. And if you're in chat, thank you very much. And if you go over and subscribe on YouTube, thank you very much there. And if you follow us over on the Patreon, that would be great too. And sign into the Discord. For crying out loud, just go everywhere. I mean,
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a number 2 of that coming out. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Now, where did I put those bolts for the Max 9 airplane?